Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here at Earth and Sky, and those of you joining us online, we really appreciate you. Thank you for all of you new subscribers. We really appreciate you, and we love all of you old subscribers who've been with us since the beginning. Some of you, it's been an amazing 3 years so far that we've been doing this with recording the broadcast. And tonight I wanted to talk a bit, or today I wanted to talk a bit about Christmas, because we are 3 days from Christmas and everything is really gearing up, but I wanted to talk about Christmas around the world. We've done life talks in previous years where we talked about the Yule celebrations, and we talked about the pagan celebrations of Christmas and where some of our symbolisms have come from that we use in Christmas today, and that have rolled into various religions. So I wanted to kind of do a little quick trip around the world, and we're also going to figure out how Santa is able to hit all of those houses for Christmas. So as I was trying to think of this, there are a lot of countries with a lot of different celebrations around the world. So I thought I'm just going to not make this a 26-hour live talk. Instead, it's going to be really quick. Don't let me lose you with that. But I'm just going to go over, I went kind of randomly with certain countries, with countries that started with a vowel letter. So the first one that I randomly chose to talk about their traditions, and we're going to see how all of this fits together, how we all become one world as we take this little trip around the world this morning. So Armenia was the first one that I was looking into. Armenia actually celebrates Christmas on January 6th instead of on December 25th. On December 25th, it's a high holy day, but on January 6th, or December 25th, it's a high holy day. On January 6th, it's actually the celebration, the things that we in the Western world often think about with Christmas, outside of what goes on within the churches or what we do with the traditional Yule celebrations. January 6th is also often known as Epiphany, the time when the wise men reached to Jesus and were able to bring those gifts, the frankincense and the myrrh and all of the blessings that they brought in as they followed that North Star around the world, which will come in a little bit later with one of the other countries. But so on January 6th, some Armenians will actually fast for a whole week before Christmas. They will only eat, getting ahead of myself. But they tend to fast for a week before Christmas, and the Christmas Eve meal is actually called ketum. Interesting word. And their Christmas Eve meal is a really big feast, and they have a lot of fairly similar dishes to what we have. They love their pudding, they enjoy glazed ham, and lots of sweets. I know if I was fasting for a week, I would want a lot of chocolate at the end of that. So they have a lot of sweets, and they actually, as I mentioned, are in the churches on December 25th, but Santa Claus comes on the eve of January 6th, and they call their Santa Claus Gagan Baba, or Kagon Papa, depending on the region. He comes in on New Year's Eve, and a big Christmas tree is put up in the Republic Square in the capital of Armenia, Yerevan. And so it's so similar. A lot of those things are very similar to what we do, but it's very hard to get Westerners to fast. I think that we tend to like our food a bit, and they have so much discipline to be able to do that, to fast through that week. And so then we're scrolling through the globe a little bit more into Ethiopia, because that's the first E letter. I was just doing the vowels as I was randomly choosing our little trip around the globe. And so Ethiopia celebrates Christmas actually on January 7th. So a third date that we have popped in here. Their calendar is actually different than ours. They use an old Egyptian calendar, and so they would call it the 29th day of Tashas instead of January 7th as we would here, but it tends to fall right on that same day. And Christmas there is called Ghana or Gina, depending on the region. Many people will go to the churches on January 7th there, whereas in Armenia they were in churches in December and celebrating Santa in January, but they have all of that on this 29th day of Tashas, or January 7th. And they will actually fast. If you thought a week was hard, they will fast for 43 days. They start on November 25th, and they fast all the way up to January 7th. that's a great way to keep those winter pounds off, I suppose. But they will eat one vegan meal a day in Ethiopia. And so it's all vegan, nothing that is harming any animals in any sort of way, as a way to have homage and to celebrate. They call it the Fast of the Prophets. And there are actually several metaphysical people that have done this same type of a fast, not necessarily calling it the Fast of the Prophets, but where you switch and you really limit how much you're eating. Doing that just one vegan meal a day, it actually opens up. It helps to align your chakras. It helps to clear out a lot of the garbage that we have in our systems, body, mind, and spirit. So you can imagine doing that for 43 days. That could set you up into a beautiful tone to celebrate what would be one of your holy days. On Christmas Eve, these are very dedicated people in Ethiopia. On Christmas Eve, they actually have their Mass, similar to what we do here with the Catholic Church. Often there's a beautiful midnight Mass within the Catholic ceremony here. Their Mass on Christmas Eve actually starts at 6 p.m. and it ends at 3 a.m. on Christmas morning. And that might be a way to keep all the children in so they don't see when Santa comes. One option for it. But their church is really fascinating too. So a lot of the older homes in Ethiopia are built in round shapes. They have the mud homes, the thatch roof. The more modern ones might be the stone square structures. But the churches they built designed after these traditional round homes that are in the more urban areas. They have rural cities now where it's all very modern. But so the churches are designed round, and they have 3 circles within the churches. On Christmas Eve, the outermost circle is filled with the choir, just as we have in a lot of the ceremonies here. We have the music that is so popular and so important with Christmas. So the choir is in this outer realm, and as the attendees begin gathering for Ghana, they're all given a candle, and they'll walk around the outer circle, around the outside of the church 3 times to sort of set the tone. And as they go around, after their 3rd time going around the church, they go into the second circle where they prepare for the service. The boys and the men are on one side, the women and the girls are on the other side, and the priest is in the center circle, the most holy of the circles of their churches, where he does the Holy Communion. One of the wise men is actually said to have been from Ethiopia. So they have a lot of celebration with that. Kids might receive a small gift, maybe an article of clothing or something from family there, but mostly their celebration is all about the church and playing a lot of games and having a lot of food. They all really get out and get into so many different really interesting games. It's a big time for family getting together and celebrating, and food seems to be a tradition around the world, no matter what country you pick, that we are always feasting, which is true as we've talked about all of the things on the Wheel of the Year. When we went around, pretty much every Sabbat and every Esbat had feasting as part of it. Often bonfires and feasting were a big part of it. That's with most religions and most of these cultures around the globe. So in India, it depends on the region that you're in. In India, they might decorate a banana tree or a mango tree. Sometimes it's any tree that they happen to have, but the banana and the mango trees are very popular to decorate. And people might even use those mango leaves to decorate their homes too in a wide variety of ways. If you're going into southern India, though, people will actually put oil-burning clay lamps on the roofs of their home to light the way. Sounds a little dangerous. The Goa people will, in Goa, the people will carol for a week before Christmas, going house to house through the neighborhood, spreading joy and spreading the messages that are dear to them. And then we're going to circle that globe a little bit more and go to the Ukraine. There were no countries that I could find with an O, so we skipped over that one. So we're into the Ukraine. And bring your focus back. I know you're all trying to think of countries that start with an O now. So in the Ukraine, they also celebrate Christmas on January 7th. So it was interesting. All of these that I chose at random, many of them We're actually on 12th night, that's another word for it, or Epiphany. But in the Ukraine, January 7th. So the main Christmas meal in the Ukraine is called Sviata Vesheria, or the Holy Supper would be the translation of that. And it's on Christmas Eve, January 6th. And they too will fast all day until dinner. Some people will drink holy water in the morning to start their day. So if you are at home and you're with somebody who's maybe cooking for the big feast for their meal this year, and they're telling you, no, not yet, just think you might fast all day, or you can just avoid the dish that she's telling you is not ready to eat yet. And a lot of times we'll talk about fasting in other aspects, as I mentioned, with metaphysics, and because it is a way to prepare your body, it is a way to prepare the mind and the soul, and to show respect for whatever it is that you believe in. It's a way to honor that. So they'll drink some of the holy water in the morning, and you're not allowed to eat. This was a really interesting one in the Ukraine. You're not allowed to eat until the first star is seen in the sky. And so often you might see the hungrier groups of people that will actually start gathering outside in the late afternoon or as the sun is just starting to set, because they're literally all out there looking to see who can find the first star in the sky, and then everyone sits down and enjoys a beautiful feast. Their meal also has 12 dishes that represent the 12 disciples. And they also, for that meal, have no meat, no eggs, and no milk at all. So pretty close to vegan, I would imagine. Diduk is the name for the decor that they have that represents, it's actually a big thing of wheat, and it represents the very large Ukrainian wheat fields that they have. Diduk actually translates to grandfather spirit, and they do this as a way to pay homage to the ancestors that have passed on at this special time of year, wanting to recognize those who've passed and cherishing special memories of those that they've loved, often sharing those stories around the table, just as we do here. After dinner, they will often carol within their homes, or they might go caroling down the streets. If you have heard the song Carol of the Bells, most of you probably have. It's a very popular Christmas carol that was actually from the Ukraine. It's one of the carols that has been really spread around the whole world. And so as you can see, there's so many different similarities between all of these cultures. It really doesn't matter what country you're from or what your beliefs are. There are so many common threads that bind all of us together as people here on earth. And it's really an amazing time this time of year to, just as they do in the Ukraine, honoring the ancestors, cherishing memories, talking about those that you love, singing carols, bringing music out that inspires the heart and inspires the soul, sharing around feasts on the table, and maybe having the bonfires or the hearth fires going, and really going within. It's the celebration as we're going within in our life, entering this planning stage as we come closer into the winter. And I'd like to have all of you just think about how we are connected and how truly small the world really is when we think about it. When you recognize there, sometimes depending on your perspective, it might feel like there's a lot of landmass or a lot of ocean that goes around our globe, but how quickly we can move from one part of the globe to another. And when you look at the heart of people, no matter who they are, no matter where they are, no matter if you get along with them or if you don't get along with them, we're all looking for the same things within ourselves. We want what's best for our children. We want the brightest future for those that we love that are around us. We're trying to find safety and warmth and trying to figure out what we want in life, where everyone is searching for happiness. And we're all so similar, no matter what somebody looks like, acts like, does, any of those things. At our core, we're all the same. The world is really, truly a small place. So think about, as we're getting so close into Christmas, as you're maybe feeling a frenzy of all of the things that you need to do and check off on your list, think about what's really, truly important to you. Are there certain things on your list that you want to get done, but maybe they don't really need to get done when it comes down to it? Think about reflecting on the heart of Christmas, reflecting on the feeling, the emotion of the love of the season, of what comes up as we've just gone into the phase of Yule and all that comes with this season, thinking about your loved ones, setting your priorities perhaps on what you need to set your priorities on, and letting the rest of it go. Allow that stress to melt away as you go in and you decide who you're wanting to honor this season. Are there some ancestors or maybe loved ones that are living that you want to honor, that you want to really think about? Maybe you need to do something, maybe you want to set an empty plate at your table this year for your ancestors so that everybody can acknowledge those who have passed this year and allow them to feast in their own special way. Or perhaps you need to honor those that are still living that maybe you haven't reached out to in a while. This can often be a good time for reconnecting people and making those phone calls that you meant to make, or sending out a Christmas card perhaps that somebody who hasn't been on your list for a while but you're interested in reconnecting to. So think about, who do you want to honor? Thinking about the traditions that you have within your family or within your friends. What traditions do you do? Are there new traditions that you want to create? We talked about that last week with Yule. Think about a new tradition that you want to create in your life, because traditions always start somewhere, and it can start with you. It might be something that you do that spreads and is carried on through your friends or carried on through those generations below you in your family. Think about something that has meaning to it, just as they have 12 dishes to represent the 12 disciples. Maybe you want to have, I tend to go really deep with symbolism in my life, so sometimes I'll do that, where I'll have a certain number of things that represent whatever it is that's dear to you, whatever has meaning to you. It might be that you wear certain colors. Some of the cultures, one of the cultures wears all white, and then they have bright colored fringe on the edge of their clothing that all represent different things. So think about the meaning that goes behind what you're doing. Go live with your life with intention. And as you're moving through this very festive season, live your life with intention. Think about what really matters to you. Think of some kind of new tradition that you can start and carry on with those beneath you and our future generations, and just really honor and cherish those loved ones that are close to you. I hope this has helped you as we've taken this little trip around the world, and also understanding how Santa Claus doesn't have to do it all in one night. He has the 24th, apparently the 6th, the 7th sometimes, and I'm sure there are many other dates in there too, as well as all of those time zones. So if you have children that are asking you how he goes around the world, he has a whole bunch of different times that he can go spread that love and spread that joy, remembering that the true meaning of Christmas is the love that's at the heart of the season. Thinking of what you can do to give love to someone else. It might not be buying something, it might be buying something, but think of how you can spread joy, how you can spread that love to others in your life. And I hope you have a great night and a very Merry Christmas.